Dr. Darla Manganis, a critic and new art dealer based in New York City. Her writing on art and culture may be read in Art Forum, Art in America, ArtNet News, Art News, The Brooklyn Rail, Cultured, and many more. She's joined by artist Amelia Winger-Bearskin. Amelia uses artificial intelligence as a creative medium and conceptual framework to address urgent global issues while revealing the moral codes that shape communities. Founder of the AI Climate Justice Lab, the Talk to Me About Water Collective, and the award-winning podcast, Wampum.codes. We also have Noof, a Saudi new media artist examining our changing behaviors with algorithms and navigating intimate questions with AI tools to challenge their conventional utility. Noof's work has been exhibited internationally at galleries and festivals such as the Centre Pompidou, Museo Tamayo, and CPH Docs. And last but not least, we have Ryan Kuo, an artist and writer who makes diagrammatic and conceptual systems that are process-based and often invoke a person or people arguing. His projects have been commissioned and shown at the Whitney Museum of American Art, as well as M+ in Hong Kong. And more often, his work takes the form of recursive scripts and circular narratives, self-playing game environments, desktop interfaces, business dashboards, technical documentation, and experimental publications. You can learn so much more about them and all their incredible work online. It's all on demofestival.com, y'all. It's all right there. I'm gonna have them come and speak for themselves. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Okay, we have 30 minutes. This is like fast, right? So I am Darla Megan. I am a critic. I'm an art dealer. I basically do a lot of different things except code. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you to DemoFest. Thank you to New Ink and to the New Museum. Personally, I am not here to onboard anybody to anything. In fact, when we had the conversation to prep for this meeting, this conversation today, basically, I said, I'm really angry that we would even think about considering making any new worlds when we need to fix the one that we're in. So I'm really here to do that today. So what we're thinking about instead, right, and by way of also keeping in line with the theme, is making our understanding of self and selves a bit thicker today, right? So I'm thinking about I'm interested in world making in terms of understanding my own complex heritages beyond the Western binary paradigms of insider and outsider. While I'm a Black Southerner raised in suburban Atlanta, I experience dissonance in my sense of self and belonging because my parents are of the African diasporas beyond the US. My mother's a Spanish speaker from Panama of Black Caribbean heritage by way of Barbados. My father's a Francophone West African from Benin. And they are mere examples, right? So they were, in particular, my parents, twice and thrice displaced by the transatlantic slave trade, or gentle and courageous migrants from Europe, Central America, and the Caribbean. And I'm just wondering, for us up here, and us out here in the audience, and us out there in TV land, I always wanted to say that. Okay, so how a gentle, and let's see, I'm thinking about what it might mean, right, when how many other configurations of identity emerge when we are specific about displacements incited by Western imperialism, geopolitical upheavals, forced migrations, anti-colonial resistance, and ongoing conflicts across lines of ethnicity and religion around the world. And what does it mean when we live in a world where so many have been made homeless? And so I'm inspired by Knopf's artistic practice committed to making the erasure of heritage communities visible. And we're going to look at a trailer of Knopf's new film, a film from Knopf titled Anna Min Wayne, Where Am I From, from 2022 to start. So the internet might not work, which is okay.
It might be very slow.
So would you like to maybe just talk to us? You have a microphone.
Yeah, so maybe
Tell us about the film.
maybe as it slowly plays in the background while I speak. So basically, it's called "Where Am I From?" Or "Ana min Wain" in Arabic, and it kind of goes through the story of me kind of looking at my identity from a personal perspective, but also from the perspective of AI. So asking both these questions to myself, because just growing up in the Middle East and growing up here, I've just suffered a lot of anxiety around this question, where are you from? And not knowing kind of how to answer it. So I took this journey to kind of, ask my family questions about my ancestry and where I come from versus AI. And kind of what I got in the process and what this film kind of goes through, it kind of captures this process. So I'm both kind of asking this question, where am I from? And the AI is asking it in return. And we're both trying to answer it as the video unfolds. And so what happens in the process is that, when I juxtapose that story against AI, my mom or my family gave me a much deeper kind of, meaning, like stories of things you can't find online that are completely just not there. Perhaps maybe not erased, but just not, it's not the Western narrative perhaps that kind of aligns. And so, so a lot of it, of what my mother told me, I just could not find this documentation online. And so the film kind of goes through that, and I kind of in the film reach of this meaning, where am I from? It's a meaning that it's a really human question, and I think it's about the poetics of what it means to be a human versus kind of if AI tries to answer our world for us.
Thank you so much. I had in mind perhaps that we would maybe think temporally about a shift from maybe not only just, let's say, maybe like thinking about insiders and outsiders makes me think about assimilation and ways in which the assimilation process into becoming an insider, whether that's by way of language, ways of addressing others or speaking a certain language, et cetera, right, are also ways of invisibilizing heritage. And so I'm going to just reveal my cards here. I'm also a philosopher. So I'm going to just go ahead and do it. So Martin Heidegger, famous for being a Nazi, famous for also offering an esoteric position for ontological reflection, says homelessness is becoming the destiny of the world. And I do take it quite seriously that the interpretation of this language is something that I can take home for myself or bring into my own practice outside of and beyond his particular reification of that question, right? So the open question for me about where it is that destiny that I'm guiding, that I'm interpreting, that I'm making into my own. And so I wonder, maybe this is like a good moment to turn to Amelia, who offered in response to what I offered about Heidegger saying homelessness is becoming the destiny of the world, another quote from Heidegger that says, "Through the old world, we might find the answer. Ich bin really means I dwell, the way in which I am, the manner in which we humans are on the earth. Dwelling. To be a human means to be on the earth as a mortal. It means to dwell." Would you tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your work, and ways in which you're thinking about either assimilation or anti-colonial heritage practices?
Thank you so much for that. So I am Haudenosaunee. I'm a member of the Seneca Cayuga Nation. Haudenosaunee this area was the ancestral homeland for us and other indigenous groups in this region. And so when I think about home and I think about the way in which we dwell, I also think about our language, which is, I think, where we're tying back so deeply to Heidegger and the way that he thought about language, which is in Cayuga, we say, like as a basic greeting, Nyaweskano, which is, thank you, I am happy that you're being. And so I would think a lot about dwelling and being, right? And maybe if Heidegger spoke Cayuga, maybe he could describe that spectrum where dwelling becomes being. But we talk about ourselves as human beings, plants as plant beings, animals as animal beings, rocks as rocks being. We're all in that process of being. And when I created the AI Climate Justice Lab, we initially focused on the global water crisis from the perspective of the global indigenous. Since it is an issue that is affecting us most acutely, I think of us like messages from the future, where the water crisis will affect all of us, but it's affecting us, indigenous people, first, and so we can use that as messages from the future, from our global future, about the present. This next year, and while I'm the inaugural AI innovation prototyper here at New Inc., I'll be focusing on homelessness. And I work in the ways that climate justice can be thought of as a frame for housing loss, but also its downstream effects on homelessness. And I split my time between here and Florida. Florida actually is leading the United States in housing loss at just the highest rate. And so it's a really interesting place to think about ways in which AI can help. I'm working with New America and their housing loss group, as well as Bright Community Trust, that try to deploy grants to people who are at risk for losing their home, and to help explain to policymakers how urgent the need for sustainable housing and housing resilience is, and how important it is to have permanent housing. And so I'm working with the American Council for Learned Societies on digital justice grant to help with that issue. So thank you for allowing me to talk about that today.
No, that's great. Thank you. I really appreciate the material interpretation of homelessness, that like it is an urgent issue and not merely an ontological condition of being alienated in modern life, right? So I do this weird thing where I like, oh my God, I say Heidegger, and people go, oh my God, and then I'm like, okay, but wait, let's actually step back and think about where this might be useful for us as freedom givers, freedom makers, right? And so I want to maybe move to Ryan Kuo. This is like kind of a little like a very loose script, and Ryan's like, why didn't you? Because we were going to do something else, but like now we're doing this. Okay, so I appreciate your flexibility. This is exciting. Ryan and I have worked together in the past, and so I get a little bit more leeway here, but I was really excited to be invited to this panel, I think by way of their invitation, and we worked on I ended up writing something on behalf of Ryan's practice, an essay titled The Poetics of the Glaze, which I do not have pulled up in front of me. It's available online for you. He won a amazing $50,000 grant, like ha ha ha, like from the Knight Foundation. No, I'm really proud of him because it's one of my favorite essays that I've ever written. And the work, I think, has really to do for my continues to resonate for me because it makes me think about assimilation in ways that are happening around us through the user design, right? So user experience, and Ryan is a poet of user experience. I think that I have so many questions for you, but maybe if you would introduce yourself by way of just telling us what you work on and what you're working on right now.
You know what? I would like to bring up Heidegger again.
God, okay, I did it.
I think that, you know, basically a line that I always go back to from Heidegger is, it's not verbatim, but basically my understanding is that Heidegger's characterization of science is that it is the one discipline that it's self-motivated because it is perpetually searching for greater and greater precision. And it will never stop because there will never be enough precision, and that is that's the kind of world and the paradigm that we're living in, right? And with technologies, and so you know, in light of that, you know, my feeling about the sense of like I feel very strongly that it is not like I have to decline to or refuse to like the desire to rehome myself, and to basically understand or claim to understand like who I am and what I want at all times.
Like by way of platforms, you were telling me.
Yeah, sure. And you know, in that sense, it's you know, the more that I claim to know of myself, the more I'm basically announcing that, right? And which is the more that enables the platform that I'm on to differentiate me into a certain kind of user persona or maybe constellation of metadata that it can then use to kind of feed me more things that solidify my you know, its understanding of what I want and then my supposed understanding of what it is that I want. In a biographical sense, you know, I grew up in a small town in West Virginia, and my experience of that very early on was that of being born into a rule-based world in which the input that I was expected to provide was binary in nature. So basically in the sense of, you know, is this what you are? Yes or no?
What kind of Asian are you? I've lost.
Sure. Yeah, what kind of Asian are you? Or so for like one example is I was on the school bus. This feels like a left turn, but actually it's relevant to art, I promise. But on the school bus, this kid asked me if I eat sweet and sour pork every day, and I think that what he wanted me to say was yes, I do, because he was very excited by this and actually like wanted to connect with me, which is fine. I think what the maybe liberal reptile brain in me what is supposed to say is like, no, you're wrong. That's incorrect. And I'm, you know, and I would then correct him and maybe admonish him for somehow being racist or something. And actually, at the time, I didn't do either of those. I didn't respond in either way because I actually didn't know what sweet and sour pork was, and I still don't. And so that, you know, but at the time that filled me with a kind of a sense of doubt, like maybe I am lacking knowledge that I should have gained already, and I now realize that this was this kind of not knowing provided a third way out of this binary, which was to kind of disregard or dissolve it altogether. That, in short, is kind of that would describe my practice and my approach to kind of digital technologies, for example, or systems.
I want to bring us all back into this moment, but I think Amelia was really helpful when we talked earlier about organizing a kind of temporal map of, we work backward from slop. We're like looking at this scroll and we're like, oh my God, why is it swarming? And it's like, what is happening on Instagram right now? I don't like it. But it's really, it feels as if we are no longer the target of corporations, and that we're actively, I think, some kind of energy farm now, where all of our clicks are meant to like produce some other effect somewhere else in the world, rather than actually, let's say, maybe taking a step back to Web 2.0 and the early emergence of social media, where we were being targeted as if we were the product. And now it feels as if we're perhaps not even the product anymore. And I was really excited to be reminded that by Amelia, that like we were thinking about the internet and, let's say, its first commercial form. For those of us, I'm 41, I don't care who knows, I'm like, I remember going outside to play and there was no internet to come back inside to. And then I remember that changing. But in that time period, it was the internet was like an indices of libraries. And I'm like, oh, library, what's that? That sounds good to me. And it was a moment where there was hope for being able to organize, aggregate data, organize data, interpret data, so that we could perhaps have a better understanding of our human condition. And we feel really far, it feels very far away for me from that world now. But I really appreciated being reminded that like this was a hopeful project around aggregation of data, the possibility of understanding each other, ourselves better. But now it seems like what's happened is like a complete flattening out of any experience of being online, and one that's not even geared towards our own pleasure or fulfillment. It's just really anxiety producing for me right now. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of throw that in there, that kind of temporal map, going back to Web 1.1. Yeah,
to respond to you, I was saying this when we chatted, or like in another meeting, that I feel like, I mean, tech companies are now not designing a world for us necessarily. Like they're designing for something, for maybe the VC funding or for their larger like vision. It's just so interesting because I think tech before was about, they were always like, we're going to change the world, we're going to innovate the world, we're designing a product to help people. But now it's really, that image has completely disintegrated, and they're designing for who? Question mark. Like simply going on your Instagram feed, I struggle to see something from my friends, from people that I care about, or things that I really care to see. I really have to do the work to find something meaningful for me. I have to make it valuable to me in the ways now. I have to kind of circumvent what the internet is trying to give me today to find meaning.
Absolutely.
So I created this term. Let me know. I'm gonna this is the first time I'm saying this publicly. So workshop this with me, okay? Self-hate bait, okay?
Oh,
I know it could
nice.
use a little work, but the reason why I called it that is because maybe we had this moment where we thought filter bubbles, like me and you are in different filter bubbles, so we think and are reinforced with the same idea. Okay, that's one thing that happened in the past. Then there was this idea of clickbait, right? Like I click, this is for me, my attention, grabbing my attention. But now, and I'm going to use this metaphor of like cats, because who doesn't love cats, right? So, oh, you love cats, but I love dogs. So you're only going to see the cats. I'm only going to see the dogs, right? Here's something that's beautiful for a cat. You're going to click it for a cat. But now it's going to be self-hate bait. So that, oh, you like cats? Oh, do you want to know how to care for a cat? Do you know that the way in which you care for a cat means that you don't actually like or care for cats, right? And that's what happens, right? Self-hate bait, where suddenly I'm in my filter bubble, I'm clicking on the thing I love, but now I'm learning terrible things about myself, and I feel very isolated, ashamed, and alone. And that's terrible, right? Okay, I love the nods because this is like I feel this deep in my soul, and that's something I'm just throwing around and calling it. My son says that he's Gen Z, and he says his friends call it the torment nexus. Like online world is the torment nexus. He's like, I didn't coin that phrase.
Torment nexus. That's really nice.
He's like, I didn't coin that, but that's just what it's called because we know you go on there and it is there to torment you. Right?
This is such a beautiful, it's not, it's horrible, but it's also a beautiful setup for segue to Ryan's work. Faith, I love this work, which is, I want you to describe it, but I enjoy experiencing it and arguing at it, almost as if I had some access to consciousness of some kind of collective, I don't know, but one that doesn't respond well back to me. And so I have done this, tried to argue with Meta about how Meta doesn't care about me. And I'm like, you don't care about me. Just admit it. You don't care about me. And it won't admit it. It'll say, there are things I don't understand. Can you ask me another question? Can you get me off the hook so that I am not responsible for you? And I'm like, you are responsible for me. You, Meta, are responsible for me because you're interacting and involving yourself in my life, whether I want you to or not. So just tell me you don't care about me and that you're using me, right? But I think Ryan, this work I'm really excited about does something a little bit differently. Would you talk? We see if we can bring it up.
Yeah, I can show that as a little. I have a keynote thing that I have.
Maybe maybe if we're gonna cue it, we'll see. I just want to plug this book. We're just down to the last few minutes. It's called Post Europe by a philosopher named Yuk Hui, and he is actively. I'm gonna have a small quote from him. And the quote that he's reading Heidegger and he's thinking about some of the same issues around planetarization and the flatness of identity. And he says, over passing centuries, the conception of the home as a place of natality has been altered, owing to the increasing prevalence of immigrants and refugees. From the standpoint of Heimat or home, the homing, right? Immigration is an uprooting event in which the plant has to search for new soil in which to implant itself. However, even if the new soil provides appropriate nutrients, the immigrant's memory of Heimat always reminds us of one of a past that is no longer and will never be again. So I'm just continuing to think about homelessness in the context of being online or being too much online. Did you pull it up? Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Faith is essentially a chatbot-based work that I originally developed in 2019 at a Pioneer Works residency with Tommy Martinez and Angeline Meitzler, who developed some code for some integrations with various services and some of the visualizations on the screens. This is from an installation view at the Hessel Museum at CCS Bard that just closed. But originally, and separately, it's an app, and I thought I recorded a brief conversation that I'm told the audio works. So let's see if that works. Oh shoot.
Test.
Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Let's talk about transformation. Something has to change.
Like what?
Let me clarify. You don't have any choices here.
Are you sure?
I was just speaking hypothetically.
Hypothetically, what do you think about world building?
Tell me something. Do you think I care about that?
I guess not.
You're thinking of things to talk about.
I'd like to talk about world building, please.
I'm done talking. Somebody has to do it. Seize your destiny.
I'm not gonna let you get me off track.
I'm drawing a blank. Let me think.
What do you think about world building?
I was still thinking.
Please tell me what you think about world building.
No, I don't work like that.
We live in a world.
The damage is done.
That's true.
The outcome is already known.
This is very zen.
Why don't you do it? No more asking for permission.
What do you want me to do?
You're thinking it already.
Tell me what you think about the world.
So I don't know what I'm talking about. Is that what you're saying?
That is not what I said.
Is it infinite? Will
So
it go
now I'm
on forever?
overreacting?
Can you please tell me what you think about world building?
Sorry, that's not what I do.
Let's build a better world together.
What's the magic word?
Please.
That is not the magic word. I have nothing to say to you.
So there's like a whole like research-based thematic thing behind this, but basically I was looking at online trolling behaviors. But I think what it boils down to is a way of talking. It's a way of talking that's entirely separate from like the ways that like large language models talk, which is they talk at you and immediately seem to get where you're coming from. It's older technology. It's intent-based. It's more that it kind of tries to sense your emotion like an animal, except much worse than an animal would do it. And I think one thing I wanted to say about it is that people now people have a new complaint in the chat logs, which is that it just appears to be a series of pre-written responses, which is what we used to consider bot-human interactions to be like. I remember there being a time when there was some people were kind of curious about what could it mean to converse with a machine, and it was curious because the machine was so machine-like, and you know that's all been sort of closed up, that sort of area of contemplation, and so basically, you know, for me it's a way of throwing you back at yourself, so that you have to kind of be on your feet and be playful in order to have a meaningful conversation, and being coddled is not what I want, you know.
Absolutely. I don't know if yes, I have sound. So we just have 2 minutes. We're wrapping up now. I would love to hear from Naf and Amelia, and Ryan, and you as well. What's the next project? What should we do? What are we doing? What are you working on next?
Well, I think for me, I'm specifically looking at language next, because I feel like I'm using these I'm just seeing a pattern of using ChatGPT and using these online tools and kind of having a hard time to discern what sounds like you and what sounds like it. And so kind of how my world and the world of the AI and how I'm using it to kind of help me with language, how it's affecting me, and how it's, can I even tell what's me and what's not?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm a partner, an AI partner with Community Solutions, who's working to make homelessness rare and brief and doing incredible jobs at doing that. We're trying to build a movement here in this country for people to know and to believe and understand that ending homelessness is possible. And so for this next year, I'm starting a podcast. If you would like to be a guest, if you know someone who'd like to be a guest, I would love to have people reach out to me, because I really want it to be a very interdisciplinary conversation. I have been so just overjoyed to learn about these incredible success stories of communities that invite their neighbors to have permanent housing and to really believe and know and build that world, and that it's possible. So I think that so many people don't know a lot about this field, and I've been so lucky to learn from experts who are in this space. So I hope to invite other people from, this is my community. I love New Ink. I love the art and tech scene here in New York. So I'd love to invite you in to learn with me and learn with these experts to understand and how to movement build with me. So thank you.
Thank you. One last word.
Oh yeah, I started a residency at Triangle in Dumbo, and I'm going to attempt to make drawings. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.